Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Another lovely day in paradise. We've had a beautiful sunny weekend and had the kids over. The angry children, the angry grandchildren all came over yesterday. So that was good fun. We all sat on the lawn. We used to have 2 Labradors, and while they were lovely, I've got to say that there's a fire starting in a hedge or by a hedge. Yeah, while they were lovely, there are some severe downsides to having dogs, and not being able to sit on the lawn is one of them. So there are about 100 upsides to not having dogs. Just to let you know, it's not all one way. And having had 2 dogs and experienced all the problems that they bring with them, we haven't gone back to having them. You'd think having dogs, and the dogs died, you'd get some more, but you don't. Well, we didn't anyway. And some people do. I'm not saying we won't ever again, but it's just one more thing to look after, isn't it, at the end of the day? People say, oh, they guard the house. Well, they don't bloody guard the house. Somebody broke into our house. The first thing they do is see if they've got any food on them. Anyway, it's a weird day today. It's a weird day for photography, isn't it? Look, I just can't get the exposure right on this because I've got half the screen is completely dark and the other half is completely light. It's not helping that I'm wearing a whitish shirt. And this is the most advanced Google Pixel 2 phone supposed to be doing post-processing all the video. Perhaps it comes out better than I can see it. But no, I'm sort of just tootling into work today because I've got no patients booked in. Which is, again, this is one of these totally weird things that never used to happen when I qualified. We never used to have a day with no patients booked in. We were booked up 3 months ahead. I don't know where all that demand's gone. Either people's teeth are much, much better, which does fit with the evidence I see, or they're all using another dentist, not me, which I suppose is possible. And probably can't be completely disregarded as a factor, or just that everyone's coming in far less frequently. The government changes, in my opinion, and response in the private sector has been to drive away an entire generation from regular dental care. So. But my response to, if you don't have enough patients to book up a week, then you have to be a bit canny about how you book the week, okay? Because one of the problems I had with our receptionist, who I'm going to meet now, was that she was not at all sensitive about how to book. So she would book someone in at 9 o'clock and then someone in at 4:30. And nobody in the middle. And when I asked, when you asked her, she was one of these people that always had an answer for everything. And the answer would be something along the lines of, well, that's, I thought you'd you want the money, I thought you'd like the money. And then if I took it further and said, can you not exert some level of nuanced booking or some fluence over these patients to try and get them to book in at something a bit less unreasonable times? She would say, well, I've had a chat with them, that's the only time they can come in, that's the only time they can come in. And that was always the answer, that's the only time they can come in. And in fact, of course, it isn't. It isn't. It was just lack of finesse in constructing the book, which is what a receptionist needs finesse. And I know this because, since she went on gardening leave at Easter, I've had a very great hand in constructing the book and booking the patients. And in fact, I've just been on the phone to a couple of patients now, because what happens is I get up, and before I leave for work, I sit down, I dial into the work computer, and I deal with the emails, which they tend to be about 5 or 6 a day, and 2 or 3 of them will be, yes, thank you for that appointment, that's fine, which we just archive, and 2 will be wanting to rebook, and then 1 will be just like some completely complicated request for an explanation from a loony. So those I leave until I get to work, but the rest of them I just deal with quickly. And when people are making or changing appointments, I just make or change their appointments, and they get an email saying, "Dear so-and-so, your appointment has been changed." So, for example, I had a woman send me an email asking if she could come in today, and I said no, she can't. Well, we haven't got a nurse today, so I said unfortunately no, today's not a possibility. So I said, but I can get you in at 3:15 tomorrow. Okay, 3:15 tomorrow. And then she rang back and said, actually, could I come in a bit later? I've got something on. So I said, all right, 4:15. So we booked her in at 4:15 tomorrow. So she got another email saying that her appointment had changed. And then she rang back again and said, actually, could I have that appointment at 8:15 that you originally offered? And I said it wasn't at 8:15, it was at 3:15. 3:15 or 4:15. She said, oh, okay then. Well, I'd like to change it back then to the 3:15. So now she's back in at 3:15. But in every case previously, she would have got an email from the receptionist saying, "Dear so-and-so, hope you are well, hope your children are well, and I've changed your appointment." In addition to the email that she got from the system saying that they'd changed her appointment. So now I just leave it up to the system to say, "Dear blah blah blah, we're as requested, we've changed your appointment from X to X. Please give us a ring if that's not okay." So answering 6 emails, 15 minutes tops. And then, and you guys, you're all paying a receptionist to do that. It just seems, we've almost got to the point where things are done inefficiently to make work for people, whereas we should be always striving to do things more efficiently. So, I was talking about booking when you're short of patients, and then my attitude is this, that you want to offer a service every day, so you have to open the surgery every day. So it's no use saying, oh well, next week we'll be open Wednesday and Thursday, but we'll be shut Monday, Tuesday, Friday. So what we do, if at all possible, is we open every morning. So we book patients in the morning, and then if the day's not full up, then obviously we've got the option to switch the phone through and go home early. And I don't dock staff pay as a result. Ultimately, the whole thing about running a dental surgery is whether or not you pay the bills, isn't it, at the end of the month? I mean, if the bills get paid, then that's fine. You don't have to be working 80 hours a week. It's not compulsory, As long as the bills get paid, you're fine. So I don't feel too bad about not working full time, providing the bills get paid. And if I can work mornings only and the bills get paid, then that suits me. I'll try and go down the gym or something in the afternoon. We all fly our surgeries by the seat of our pants, don't we? We all wear different pants. Some guys go by the number of patients booked in. A lot of people just go by how busy they feel. If they're getting a gastric ulcer, they think they're doing well. If they're getting a gastric ulcer because nobody's booked in, they think they're doing badly. So number of patients, some people go by a day book. How much did you earn on the day? Very few people produce management accounts and just go by how well you did in the month or the quarter. that is a little bit more advanced. You have to have some sort of accounting program to do that, and some way of making sure that everything's typed in as and when it happens, so that by the time you get, let's say you're in May, by the time you've got all the bills in for April and all typed in, you've got a good idea of how well you did in April, because the income's typed in real time. So all you're waiting, the thing you wait for is the bills associated with that month, and then once they're in, then you've got your management accounts, and that means you generally, by the sort of third week of the month following, you know where you were the month previous. So you're about 3 weeks in arrears all the time, or at least 3 weeks. So some people go by what's in the bank account, just watching the bank account go up and down. If the bank account's full up, then things are going well, and if it isn't, then they're not. Other people go by the fact that they've just bought gold-plated taps for the bathroom and go around telling them what a fantastic surgery they've got. Have you seen the gold taps in the bathroom? And don't care at all about the return on investment or anything. So what you should be doing, really, I think what the accountants would tell you is you should be looking at your return on investment. You should be saying, how much have I personally got invested in this practice, and what's my rate of return? How much is it paying me? And don't forget that you know that's after you draw out a salary, because you're also donating your time and your skill to the surgery. So what you do is you deduct what you could expect to earn as an associate, say, from the business, and then you work out how much extra profit it's making, and that profit is the return on the amount of money that's invested in the business. Now, I mean, my surgery is a complete disaster from that point of view. I would be far better off just dissolving my surgery and just not, But then what would I do? I mean, I'd only be retired. Someone's knocked my wing mirror. Let me just put my wing mirror straight. So that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I suppose I'm looking at it as I'm only withdrawing like a retirement income from my surgery, because if I didn't have it, I would be retired. So I don't expect to, my kids are all grown up and got kids of their own. I don't expect to earn what a young dentist might expect to earn on the basis of his or her skills, bearing in mind that they're sort of trying to buy a house and put their kids through school, etc. So all I need to do is pay the rates, and that's it. My needs are small. So anyway, I'm going into work to do a financial handover from the outgoing receptionist, and it basically consists of picking her brains on where we are with the various supplier accounts and things like petty cash and that. We've dealt with all of that, and so we tend to be more booked up towards the beginning of the month, because obviously that's when we send out the recalls, and we also tend to be booked up on the day that the hygienist comes in, which is a Tuesday. So a lot of people want to come and see the hygienist and have a joint sort of scan and polish and hygienist visit. So first week of the month and every Tuesday we're rushed off our feet, and to a certain extent that's not a bad thing, because when the patients come in, if you sort of spread the patients all out and give them 2 hours each, they're all going to come into what to them appears to be a ghost town. And the problem with that is that we're all still monkey sort of based social animals, and being the only person anywhere is a bit of a warning sign. It's a bit like being in a shopping centre and all of a sudden finding you're the only person in the shopping centre. I mean, that just innately spells danger, doesn't it? Either there's a gunman on the rampage, or there has been a fire alarm and everyone's evacuated and you didn't hear it, or there's been general agreement that the place is everybody needs to leave right now for an unspecified danger, or the place is shut and you're going to get locked in because you've got the times wrong, or I mean, there's safety in numbers, the old saying goes, and that's true. And so it's nice if your surgeries is a bit quieter to bunch the patients up, and that's why we're bunching them up in the mornings, because they like to see that they are jumping into the seat that someone's just jumped out, because that reassures them that if that other person thought it was a wise idea to come to our surgery, then they're probably correct in their assumption that it's a wise idea. Whereas if nobody's around and the place, you've got tumbleweed blowing around the waiting room, then they're going to start questioning whether or not their idea was a wise idea, because nobody else agrees with them. apparently. And it's more of a problem with private practices, because you do allocate more time. In the old days when you used to do like a checkup for a family of 4 in 15 minutes, and you used to have one patient going numb, one patient waiting to go numb, and one patient in the chair, and there was always a lot of everyone, there was a lot of bonhomie and sharing of magazines and stuff like that, and the whole thing was more of a social event. But so patients reassure other patients. That's why so we bunch them up and then we go home early, and we just don't worry about it. The other thing is, of course, that because the recalls are skewed towards the beginning of the month, then the patients tend to get bunched up towards the end of the month. And so now, like, what we've got now is the last week in April, so it's the least busy week. So by then, you see, you can worry less because you know that your bills are paid. But again, it's like having the last week off of every month is a bit disconcerting. But it's not when the weather's like this. Anyway, we've sort of done the takeover on all reception functions, which not that they were much. Answering a few emails, and we sent out the recalls for May, and the last big task is really just sorting out the accounts. And I say that the only problem there is not reconciling the bank account or anything, it's just working out where we are with the suppliers, because I don't want to take the suppliers' word for where we are, although for the most part they would probably be correct. But I think we are in one long running dispute with Circle, SRCL. Circle is what you go round in when you try and work out what they're charging. Now Bitcoin's moving up again. Got another 2 minutes. I'll just give you a quick briefing on Bitcoin. April 17th was tax day in the United States, when you have to pay all your tax. And in the United States, Bitcoin's taxed as a good, so you have to pay capital gains tax on it. And so I think a lot of people have been selling Bitcoin to pay their capital gains tax. And so as a result, it came under a lot of selling pressure in the period January to April. And the period January to April, historically, it doesn't do very well at all. It's sort of April to December it does really well. Everyone's a bit depressed. It went down to 6,000. It's about 9 now, I think. It went down to 6, then it went up to 7, 8, 9. But people are still depressed because it was 20 at the end of last year. So people don't say, well, a year ago it was 800, now it's 8,000. It's gone up 10 times. You don't hear anyone saying that. They just say, oh, it used to be 20, now it's only 8. So, okay, fine, whatever, Perhaps it'll be 20 again. Want to go? Want to go? No? Slow, too slow. Snooze, you lose. So yeah, so there's sort of the big contenders are still Bitcoin, because it's got all the the history and the mainstream media acceptance, and it's on all the tickers now. But it has some. It's been nerfed, it's been hobbled by virtue of the development team putting a limit on the size of the transaction blocks, and so it's there's still some severe questions over its scalability, although they're working on an incredibly complicated technical solution to that, which I personally don't necessarily think is the way forward. Or the alternative, which sort of split off last August, Bitcoin Cash, which retains the original route map for Bitcoin, which was basically scaling on chain through bigger blocks. So you get to pay your money and takes your choice, really. Bitcoin for the coin with greater sort of market cap and recognition, visibility, or Bitcoin Cash for the original Bitcoin. And there's a few others, but I won't bore you with those. They're more technical, the people who are sort of well into the space and have done a lot of due diligence. Anyway, that's me to work, and wish me luck. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.